Okay, hello gang. Gang. Collective, how's it going? Just going to do a quick check-in. Well, we don't know if it'll end up being quick or not. I'll turn over the 10-minute things. I don't know if it'll make any difference. There we go. So this reading is for, I just spent 10 minutes trying to find the right question for you that the sage wanted. And it's for the collective that's been stolen from. So it's like, what can you tell the collective that's been, had something stolen that meant something was valuable to them, whatever. A lot of the collective's been stolen from, often properties, inheritances. They've had their peace stolen. People try to copycat the collective. Basically, most of the collective tends to be empaths. And narcissists, like empaths, they want to steal off empaths. So a lot of our collective has had to deal with this. So what does the sage want us to know about this, please? For my collective watching the video, who clicked on the video? Dear Sage, Most High God, for the highest good of the person who clicked on the video. What do they need to know? Okay, so we've got tails, heads. That's a yang line. It's unmoving. Oh, I should do it in a bold colour so you can see it. What's this texter? That texter's run out and put it in the bin. Okay, this texter. That's better. All right. For my collective that's been stolen from, what do they need to know, my lord? Same again. What does the collective need to know who's been stolen from? I mean, I think it happens to everyone at least once in a lifetime. Just these things happen in life. For my collective that's been stolen from for the highest good, what do they need to know? Okay, another yang line. So we had a moving yang line here just before. I forgot to tell you. Okay, last one. Okay, that's a moving yin line. I see. Yeah, okay, is there another hexagram to go with this, Sage? No. Okay, so we just work with the one we've got, which is hexagram 58. Can you see that? I can't see it. The camera wants to stick the... Anyway, you can't answer back, can you? All right, so it's hexagram 58 with moving line 4 and moving line at the 4th place and a moving line at the top. So it changes, if I do the moving lines, it changes into hexagram 61 as the second hexagram, I think, yeah. So that's right. So 58, 2 moving lines, and it turns into 61. All right, so hexagram 58 is usually called the joyous or enjoyment or something like that. And hexagram 61 is usually called something like inner truth or sincerity. So hexagram 58 is all about enjoyment. It's about who you're enjoying yourself with and the conditions that make deep joy possible. Hexagram 61 is about sincerity and inner truth. So there's something here already without even looking at the moving lines. It's something about the sincerity of the people that you're associating with, I think. Or, that this is teaching you, being stolen from is teaching you to put more value on sincerity, perhaps. My hair is getting in my eyes. That doesn't look very good. But anyway, here we go. I'll read the moving lines for you. Well, I might actually read the whole thing. Oh, okay, so hexagram 58 in the Sam Reifler book is called pleasure. It's not too long, so I'll read it all to you. So it's lake upon lake, and lake is joyous, and it's a sort of yin quality. And there's still, it's not like rambling water or rushing water, it's a still lake, so it has a quality of reflection as well. Okay, so twee, pleasure. The surface of the marsh is still. The inner marsh seethes with life. Beside it, friends sit and talk. The conversation is easy, but the communication between them is deep. Success if you keep to your course. Every experience gives you pleasure. So this is you, collective. Every experience gives you pleasure. You are always content. Your quiet, untroubled character is open and accepting. Oh, that's definitely my collective. You see no reason to defend or disguise your deepest feelings. Right, I'm already getting the sense of this, what this is trying to say, this combination of hexagrams. It's like you are more sincere than some of the people you've been associating with. Right? That's I guess that's fairly obvious if they've stolen from you. But anyway, where were we? You see no reason to defend or disguise your deepest feelings. See, now if somebody's not sincere, then they can take advantage of that. Your imperturbable ingenuousness gives solace and hope to others. You give others the opportunity to reveal their deepest feelings, to share in your sense of pleasure. Karma. The image of the oracle says it all. Quiet and content with each other, you and friends share the deepest, most persistent communication, unexpressed and unencumbered by selfish needs or competitive egos. So that's when everything, this is this hexagram at its best. So if it was a tarot card, it would be the tarot card in the upright. But the different moving lines look at different aspects that aren't necessarily so favourable. Okay, moksha. In the balanced flux of the universe, even pleasure has a dark aspect. So that's where we get into it, because pleasure can draw you into compromising situations. Some people sometimes compromise their principles, or they lose their head, or they don't pay attention to red flags because they're pursuing something that's extremely pleasurable for them. It can sort of dull their senses sometimes, right? So your capacity for pleasure could deflect your spiritual course. Do not let pleasure pass for enlightenment. This danger can be avoided by keeping in touch with the serious, searching sides of your closest friends. Remain open to those quiet revelations of deep conversation that make lasting, intimate impressions. In the spirit of this hexagram, a most pleasant way to avoid danger. So you've got moving line 4, which says, anticipating pleasure. Do not weigh one pleasure against another. When all things are pleasurable, all pleasures are equal. You must come to realize that you cannot make a mistake. There are no mistakes. And then line 6, this is where the trouble comes. So this is probably where something's gone wrong with the stealing. You are caught up in pleasure. You have no direction other than experiencing pleasure. You are so involved with pleasure that you have dulled your positive feelings as well as overcome your negative ones. Taking pleasure is so habitual that you no longer enjoy it. No true pleasure. That's what addicts are like. I think a lot of theft is motivated by some kind of an addiction or another, not necessarily a substance addiction. It could be addiction to being in a particular, it could be addiction to money or power or influence or being seen a certain way or something like that, a self-image. There's also sex addictions and gambling addictions, and there's all sorts of addictions. So whatever people, if they lose themselves in pleasure, then they'll also lose their discernment, basically. So it's I guess it's kind of like snap out of the pleasure-seeking thing. If that's you, I mean, you can probably check with the coins yourself. Flip a coin. Is the sage referring to you, or is it referring to the person you've been dealing with? It's entirely possible that it's the person you've been dealing with who stole something, that is caught up in a pleasure trap, that they're uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. They can't sit with themselves. They can't face themselves. They can't go without. They can't sacrifice. That's why they steal. They say they lack the inner contentedness, which is why they're seeking pleasure, I think. And that inner contentedness comes more from like a job well done, or being in your integrity, or good relationships, or like a deeper kind of pleasure. Like this pursuit of pleasure is talking about superficial pleasures. It's not like the pleasure of having achieved some massive job that you've been working on for years or something like that. It's more like the pleasure of a quick hit, whatever your quick hit may be. A sugar addiction even. I mean, it's unlikely. A sugar addiction is not likely to make someone steal. But maybe if they're addicted to money because they're overextended, that could motivate them. Or if they're addicted to being seen in a particular light. But yeah, it's sort of saying don't lose your discernment because you're caught up in chasing pleasure, because that's when someone can pull a Swiftie on you. So it's possible, and they can pull the wool over your eyes, so to speak, but like, you know, how narcissists love bomb and stuff like that. It's very pleasurable to be flattered and attended to, and, you know, be treated like the queen or the king or whatever. But this can also be a way that people manipulate you and make you feel relaxed, you know. So if they're overly sort of obsequious or something, that could actually be something. It could be a red flag potentially. I'm going to read the moving lines from this one because I just got a feeling to. I feel like it might be more helpful. Where are we? Okay. So this one calls hexagram 58 the joyous. And moving line 4 says, joyousness that is weighed. We weigh whether or not to sacrifice some of our values in order to gain unity with others. Okay, so I guess that's a warning in a way. Like, if you sacrifice your values to gain unity, then you put yourself in a potentially vulnerable position. For example, we consider tolerating a certain amount of indifference and unjust treatment, or we begin to consider new involvements because we doubt that our current situation will ever be resolved, or we attempted to do something that might jeopardize our inner dignity because we think it will improve the situation or hasten progress. This line states implicitly that the pursuit of pleasure inevitably brings suffering. Okay, so the pursuit of pleasure, whether it's you pursuing pleasure or the person who's stolen from you pursuing pleasure, plays a very big part in what's happened for something to be stolen from you. How, you know, that's just a really big clue. It's got something to do with pleasure seeking, yours or the other person's pleasure seeking. That's either made you lose focus or concentration, or maybe you just, because these people flatter you or something like that, or they're very reassuring, maybe you had red flags or, you know, just intuitions to pay closer attention, and because you were having such a good time, you sort of let it slip or something like that when certain things happened. that made it easier for them to steal from you, potentially. Okay, so this line states implicitly that the pursuit of pleasure inevitably brings suffering. While this mainly refers to the pursuit of physical pleasure, it also refers to indulging in self-importance through a display of bravado, power, correctness, helpfulness, wit, intelligence, skill, sharpness, or independence. So this is so rather than just being those things, you're displaying those things. I guess that if you feel the need to display something, it probably means that you've got some kind of insecurity, or you're trying to impress someone who, so you're already off balance. Once you need to, rather than just being something and embodying it, you want to make some big show of it to impress someone, you're off balance. So you're already not in your best judgment. So any of these displays, I guess other people can pick up on it if you're, I don't know how to say this, if you're appearing to be, if you're trying to be more confident than you really are, people can pick up on the gap between your real confidence and the performance, perhaps, which makes them sense a vulnerability in you, that you lack confidence in some way. So that's, it's a way they can target you or get into your head. There's a door open on the cupboard just in front of me, and I really want to go and shut the door. It's just a feng shui thing. It's funny that I must remember to shut the cupboards before I start the next reading. Where are we? So self-importance, reawakened by suggestions put forward by our ego, is contrary to our inner nature and creates a self-conflict. We show off when old fears of not being equal to others are reawakened by our ego. These are the fears which cause us to compare ourselves with others and envy them. Such comparisons are always harmful. Well, maybe the other person's been envying you and comparing themselves to you potentially. But also I'm picking up from this sentence about showing off, that actually attracts robbers. There's a whole another line in another hexagram about travelling in a golden carriage and that attracting highway robbers. So I guess, you want to be secretly successful. This has been a bit of an ongoing theme for us. Rather than showing off your success, you might want to keep it to yourself because it attracts thieves or envy from others. And the envy may have motivated someone to steal off you. Also, we should not allow ourselves to indulge in such thoughts as, I would be happy if only this were so. I'm getting just a whisper of something here about the sage wanting you to be grateful for what you have. And if you're not happy, if you don't fully appreciate the things that you have and use them, then, and you're always wanting more, then sometimes things are taken away from you because you didn't appreciate, like you're not appreciating the things that you've already got. Like you're too busy, like I'd only be happy if I had a better car or a better this or a better that. Maybe your thieves have done that. And maybe they think that stealing something material off you is going to make them happy, and it's not. Or it could be you not appreciating what you have, and so it gets taken away from you to realise that you didn't need that to be happy, or you certainly don't need any more of it. Your happiness has got to come from within, regardless of the material things. So then you get the 6th line, seductive joyousness. So here we go. Watch out for seduction, because people don't need to seduce when it's something that's naturally happening. Like, seduction is kind of trying to make something happen ahead of schedule. Like, if you were naturally going to do it, it would naturally be in alignment and happen in a flow. But if someone's needing to seduce you to do this business deal, to go to bed with them, to have this particular drink or whatever, you've got to wonder why they're so keen to rush things, I think. You know, what's their motive in pushing you to be somewhere where you're not before you're ready, to sign a deal before you're ready, to hop into bed with someone you don't know well enough, to rush to chase some opportunity or whatever. I mean, seduction is one of the main things in advertising, really, isn't it? Like, you know, even a food thing, like they show you the food with all its dripping and they're waving it in front of the camera, and here's this delicious thing, and don't you want it? And it's because they want you to buy it. But, you know, good things just sell themselves. I mean, of course that's natural in advertising that you should want to do that. That's the whole point of advertising, is to sell the thing. But then you've got those scam kind of advertisers where it's like, buy now before it's too late, or this is your last opportunity or something. You know, they're creating that artificial scarcity feeling where, you know, that urgency where you've got to do it, it's now or never or something. And I don't think that you're supposed to be in that off-centered space when you make important decisions. So where were we here? All right. Seductive joyousness. Because of the seeming intransience of the situation, we attempted to do something. If we are irresolute, the seductive fantasies put forward by our egos will cause us to stray from our path. Maybe we want to do something about being stolen from. I've certainly felt that temptation. You know, the desire to seek justice or something like that. Like, this has got to be right. Like, this is, I'm going to sort this out. And it's actually telling you to back away from that kind of thinking and behaviour. And because the situation is intransient, it's hard to define, and that makes you want to put it in a box so that you can get a grip on it. You know, if you can label it, if you can put it on in a box or say it's this or that, then it mentally it's easier to handle. But because it's intransient, any premature effort to label it or shape it or whatever is probably going to be not quite right, because there's more information to be revealed. That's why, because the fact that it's intransient means that it's still moving. So there's more to know, that it's still bubbling. It hasn't settled yet. So trying to put it in a box and label it before it's settled is actually probably going to cause you to make not quite right judgment. Maybe. I'm just going line by line here. There's so many things. Okay. So, if we are irresolute, the seductive fantasies put forward by our ego will cause us to stray from our path. Some of these seductions occur as feelings of self-importance, self-pity, impatience, anger, or alienation. Others occur as feelings of negation, restlessness, or desire. If these feelings are not firmly resisted, they will destroy our will to persevere. Okay, so what it's basically saying is that these are ego type emotions, and they pull you off your path and distort like they get in the way of you seeing the things clearly, because they're very strong emotions. Like desire is a very strong emotion. Impatience is a very strong ego emotion. And they put you off balance and you're not seeing clearly. You might miss something. And they take you off your spiritual path. Okay, so these are seductive fantasies put forward by our ego will cause us to stray from our path. Others occur as feelings of negation, restlessness, or desire. If these feelings are not firmly resisted, they will destroy our will to persevere. Of all evils, vanity in the form of self-importance is the most seductive. Okay, so I guess that's another way of saying get a grip on yourself and be humble. Or, vanity in the form of self-importance is the most seductive. So this is a very strong warning about, like, it's not saying rah rah strong warning, but it's saying that this is, because it's so subtle, it's such a seductive, subtle thing that you may not think of as evil, that you really have to watch out for it, because it's going to throw you off your path somehow. Of all evils, vanity in the form of self-importance is the most seductive and therefore the most dangerous. The ego, as vanity, constantly watches to see how others see us. Even during self-development, the ego intrudes when it tries to draw attention to how well we serve the good. So, yeah. All right, and then you've got inner truth. I'm going to read it from this one. I'm just getting that. I don't think it's too long. Oh, no, it's way too long to read. Okay, but I'll read you the top line. It says, you know what the problem is. So the first thing is that it's telling you, you do actually know what the problem is, even though you may, deep down you know. Inner truth refers to what we inwardly know to be true. Often this hexagram seems to say you know what the problem is and you understand the truth of the matter. At other times the hexagram is about dealing with evil in others through the power of inner truth. The image of pigs and fishes refers to the stubborn qualities of a person's ego. The build-up of inner power through clinging to what is right must be very great to penetrate through to them. Okay, so they're thick as bricks. I mean, I don't want to insult pigs. I'm a vegan. I don't want to insult pigs or fishes because they're actually more intelligent than most people give them credit for. But it's just talking about someone not being able to hear the truth because their ego is so full of their own opinion already. When the ego is in the way, it makes people thick as bricks. They might be quite intelligent people when they're not under the domination of their ego, but the ego is like a 3-year-old child. A perfectly, a total genius. Once the ego takes over, can behave quite, do quite silly things or behave quite idiotically. So, yeah. 2 types of inner truth are discussed. One, an effect that emanates outward from our inner thoughts, correct or incorrect, having a force either for good or evil. And the second as the cosmic aspect of the situation. Inner truth is at the heart of the matter, with its own power to correct all wrongs. Visible effects of the invisible manifest themselves. Okay. It's talking about not executing people mentally. I'll just read it. Before the inner truth of our thoughts can have the power for good, we need to apprehend the inner or cosmic truth of the situation in question. To attain this truth, we must first become receptive, suspending all previous judgments. We keep our minds open about people. This means that we do not execute them by classifying them in a negative way or considering them to be hopeless or assuming that they are dishonest, grateful, or whatever. We also need to free ourselves of any ideas that things cannot work. We allow the unlikely and the possible can and do happen. When we turn the matter over to the cosmos, the inner truth of the matter will become apparent at the right time. Right, so I guess it goes back to that quantum stuff that we talked about in previous readings, where things can't change while you're staring at them, telling them what they are. If you need to examine the thing, you need to get a good look at it, see what it is, understand it as best you can, and then turn your judgment and focus away from the situation, giving it an opportunity to change in the quantum field, because, you know, whether it's a wave or a particle depends on what you expect to see. So if you keep going, it's a wave, it's a wave, it's a wave, it's going to keep appearing to you as a wave. If you want it to turn into a particle, you have to first look away and go, well, I guess it's possible it could be a particle. I mean, not that I have any evidence of it, but it's possible. And then while you're not looking, it can turn into a particle and you can go back and see the particle. But it can't change in front of you. So while you're staring at people going, thief, 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 you're actually casting spells on them, even if it's true. Even if they did steal something, so long as you're standing there going, thief, 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 they have to, it's very hard for them to change. So you have to allow the possibility that they could come good. I mean, it's not to say that they will. If you're dealing with a narcissist, I mean, you could be waiting a long time. But the universe might be able to change some things in your favour. Let's get some cards. I think, let's get some cards. Let's just get some cards, shall we? We'll do a 4-card spread. Whatever happens, you can't lose your inner truth. I think that's something that, and you have to know who is being, because the inner truth is about sincerity. So you're looking for people's sincerity, and you've got to watch where, if your ego takes over, then you're not sincere. In the moment when your ego is taken over, you're not sincere. And that's when you can be tricked, or be driven or led through pleasure to do something that leads you into a vulnerable situation, maybe, or that you don't notice something that you should notice, or you notice it but you don't, you just wipe it away because you're too busy having pleasure when you really need to pay better attention, or something like that. This is 2 decks together. Alright, let's go. 4 cards and we'll wrap it up. That one jumped. Shall I take it? I think I will. I think I'll take it. It says it's okay to be different. Right. Okay, so I'm getting so far the basic message of this is that to watch out for ego and pursuing pleasure, because whether it's in yourself or others, that's when these things happen. People are motivated to steal out of ego, and they think they're going to get some pleasure out of it, and they can trick you through pleasure. Like the classic thing is someone who you take someone new home and wake up in the morning and you've been robbed blind, you know. They got you into bed, your guard was down, you woke up in the morning, your wallet was gone, sort of thing. That's a classic example of how pleasure can temporarily get in the way of better judgment or you think that because something pleasurable's on offer that there's nothing to lose, but often there is. Okay, so it's okay to be different. Talk to your angels. What does my collective need to know who's had something stolen from them? Oracle cards. Says you're an oracle reader. If somebody in my collective here is watching this video as an oracle reader, and that you can trust your own guidance with your cards. All right. Anything else? Oh, more jumping cards. Okay, that was protection. Well, that's a very nice place to sort of leave it. You are protected. So I think even if you've had something stolen from you, it's for your own protection, potentially. And the things that you really need that are truly yours, that God deems to be yours, cannot be truly stolen from you. They may appear to be missing temporarily or in the hands of another temporarily, but they cannot be truly stolen from you. Or if in the 3D somebody actually does manage to take a 3D thing, then the cosmos will protect you by replacing it with something as good or better. I'm just hearing that rejection is protection. I wonder if that applies with material things. Maybe the thing that you lost was not something you really needed. Possibly it was really, important to you emotionally or whatever, but it wouldn't have happened if it was truly going to mess you up. So I'm going to say that either you didn't need it or it's going to be replaced by something as good or better. Either way, you are protected. I'm getting the main message in this is just about that pleasure trap. Watch out for people seducing you. Because your protection's down while you're distracted and seduced. And often seduction comes with alcohol or substances, or it comes with time pressure, like a sense of scarcity or urgency or something like that. Like if you don't go for it now, it may be your last. All those opportunity, all those kind of things, I think are to be, they're red flags. Someone tries to rush you into something to get you to sign on the line that you're not ready to agree to something that you don't feel comfortable to go, oh, it's all right, don't worry. And your gut's telling you, you've got to pay attention to that because that is part of your protection. Another clue. Any clues for my collective who have been stolen from? Any clues? True love. True love appears when you least expect it. Well, you can't have your true love stolen from you. That's one thing for sure. If someone's your true love, nobody can take them away from you. That's what I'm getting, that there's, for someone a romantic issue. Is this person going to go off with somebody else or somebody going to seduce them or something like that? And I'm going to say if they're your true love, they're not going to be interested in someone else. They're not going to go off. They're not going to go off with others, diluting the whole energy. If it's really you, they're not going to risk. They're not going to risk doing something awful to your relationship if they're truly in love with you. So, and if they do go off with someone else, then maybe they're not your true love. But what the card actually says is that true love appears when you least expect it. So, if you have lost something, maybe it helps bring you closer to your true love. That certainly happened for me. it became very difficult for me to be in the place where I was because of these people's campaign to harass me all the time. They kept coming around my house with motorbikes and utes and everything, yobbos. And anyway, it became very hard to be at that place, so I left that place, and that I had already met my true love, but it meant I spent now more time with him. Like it took me out of that situation where all the thievery and everything was happening, and it put me straight into the arms of my true love. So having something taken away sometimes is necessary for you to end up somewhere else, you know. Like, I had a guitar stolen once, many years ago. Went out for lunch, came back, and someone had broken in and stolen my guitar. And that was pretty upsetting. But within 2 weeks, I had another guitar. Somebody lent me some money, all totally cosmic. I didn't have any money. Someone lent me the money to buy a new guitar. And my new guitar was a much better guitar. And it ended up being my true love of a guitar for the next 20 years or so. It ended up being the guitar, if you know what I mean. So, you know, the one I lost, it was a good guitar, but it wasn't the guitar. When I got my Epiphone from the money that I was lent after the guitar was stolen, and I was able to go busking with that Epiphone and play the money back pretty quickly, that was like losing something less for something better. I'm kind of getting that vibe here. You know, if it's truly for you, it can't be taken from you. And if it can be taken from you, then maybe that was okay, because it's just leading you to an upgrade. Let's get another card. Any other clues, please? This is turning into quite a long reading. So much for 10 minutes. Deep. Look deeply within and discover your soul purpose in relationships. So, you know, maybe what you lost, if it's not being replaced by the same or better, then maybe it wasn't compatible for your purpose in life or at that part of the journey. There's that Cat Stevens song that keeps coming when I sit down to do readings for this collective. Every other time I get that moon shadow. Like, I hadn't thought about that song for a few weeks, or since that reading I posted a few weeks ago. I haven't thought about that song. And just then I got it again about that moon shadow. So that's there for someone, that song. All right. I did get one message just before I just remembered it now, because I was about to close out and I just got it. Tell them. What I got just before I sat down was, you win, but not in the way you think. You're going to win, collective, but it's not how you think you're going to win. It's going to have a poetic, nice twist to it, sort of thing. Okay, let's throw the dice. And you get 5. Something that wasn't possible before is possible now. So maybe losing something opens up a new door, potentially. Like, you know, me getting my real guitar or my true love or whatever when I lost these other things. But it's also, so if you do have something you want to protect and all of that, it's reminding you to watch out for the pleasure trap. Whether you're the one being seduced by ego emotions and pleasures, or if you notice that behavior in someone else, they're likely to step outside of their principles if they're lost in, well, step outside of integrity, let's say, because their principles might be pursuing pleasure. If their whole focus is on pursuing pleasure, then other things like integrity and honesty and all that come secondary to pursuing pleasure, if that's their number one goal. And if they can't sit with themselves with uncomfortable emotions or difficult feelings, or if they're not willing to work through different, you know, if they don't like work, they're afraid of, they're just allergic to work. Some people are allergic to work. That's not going to help. They're stuck in pursuit of pleasure. They're not going to work. That's a red flag for you to protect your assets. When you see these qualities in people, the endless pursuit of pleasure without the ability to sit and reflect and deal with the more difficult sides of life and the dirty work, the getting down to doing the responsibilities and the dirty work. They just want to be there for the good times and they're not there for the hard stuff. That's not a good indicator, whether it's with you or within themselves. I still feel like I need another card or something. Let's pull a animal card. One more card. I don't know why, just one more card. One more card for my collective before we close this. One more card. For my collective who've had something stolen for their highest good, what can the sage tell them at this moment? It says turtle, retreat. The turtle has its home on its back, so it's like pulling inwards. It says stop trying to make something happen. I'm just getting a little flush that when you chase something, like you don't have it, it's like affirming that you don't have it. Like in manifestation, you've got to see what you want, visualize it and everything, and then you've got to let go. If you try too hard, that's like when you want something, by wanting it automatically implies you don't have it. So when you're chasing something, it's like getting further away from you sometimes. So it's saying stop trying to make things happen. So, there's a time for everything, and for you who's clicked on this video at this time, who's dealing with, who've been stolen from, there's something here that it's telling you to stop trying to make happen. Maybe it's the justice you seek, maybe you can just be assured that it's all working out because you've been told you're protected. And it's not like you end up with a bad hexagram or anything. This inner truth hexagram, it's actually perfectly structured for protection. Let me show you. The yang lines, those are yang lines. They're on the outside, and the yin lines are on the inside, which is as it's supposed to be. The yang is supposed to protect the soft yin. So they're in their correct places. So it all works out in the end for you. I guess there's just a whole thing here about ego emotions such as wanting to be seen, bravado, showing off, and restlessness, all that kind of, watching out for ego emotions and watching out for the pursuit of pleasure, whether it be in yourself or in others, because that's where people start compromising their integrity. And I guess if you're seeing a lot of that sort of thing, that's a heads up. If you see someone who's always pursuing pleasure, then they're not going to be a sound person to get involved with business with, for example. If someone's always pursuing pleasure, they quite likely got an addiction, and if it's running them, then they may not be able to maintain their integrity. I mean, if it's a serious addiction like gambling or hard substances or something, expensive substances or something like that, or something that's just really physically addicting, they may not be in control of themselves anymore, potentially, and that's something to be aware of. I'll leave it there, collective. I'm sure there's more we could go into this, but that'll do for now. We'll do another reading soon. Have a lovely day. Always nice to check in. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and all of that.